when they're doing procedures or they get tired, they'll put their lead on. I guess we'll start over. So I need to turn this a little bit. So first of all, like a lot of the people in this room, actually everybody in this room is pretty petite. So I can't stand seeing this. Like this is big lead. We have a lot of big lead around, so not all of it fits everybody, like at all. Wow, this really doesn't fit me. Should have gotten a different one. But anyways, so I see this a lot. This is your whole mediastinum. You've got breast tissue here, you've got your heart, you've got your great vessels, you've got your part of your lungs. So I don't understand why this is something that people do, because if you're little and it doesn't fit you, what you can do is find some new lead, or you can hike it up like this and cross it over. So you end up sticking it to the Velcro on either side, and that way your mediastinum is covered. I'm just gonna tie this for now just to show you guys. My thyroid growth is similar. Where did it go? You see it like tucked into my back? Sorry.
I don't even see one.
Maybe I didn't bring one. I thought I had one hanging off in here. Oh, here it is. So this would be just an example of how I would do it with the Velcro, basically. And these are hard because they end up like flopping down, basically. So if you need to tie them, you can. Or if you need to put the Velcro, the shortest place of the Velcro on the shortest place again. Really make sure it's tight and propped up here. Like, get it going like this. Because a lot of people have it like. And then my thyroid's right here. Like, it's not even covered. So the thyroid's actually pretty sensitive to radiation. And that's one of the ways that we actually kind of can get exposed is thyroid. So it's important to make sure your thyroid's covered up. And your mediastinum too. So there is a way to make big lead work for you if you can't find something smaller. But you just have to work a little harder to make it work. Oh, and then I forgot to show you. So when you sit down, so like we said, the radiation is light, so it's like beaming straight at you. If you're wearing lead and you sit down, light's getting right in here to your gonads and all the other things that are actually really sensitive to radiation. So unfortunately, unless you can ensure that it's like hanging over your knees, it's really not good to sit down. And for obvious reasons, you know why not to turn around, because you're not shielded there. And we've all had this. The busy doctors are doing their thing. They're using their fluoro and and you're in and out of the room for whatever reason. And you're coming into the room and you're hoping that they know, and you're like, wait a second, don't push the fluoro pedal. It's important to be really clear. Our doctors don't want to hit you with any fluoro when you're in and out of the room, but they are kind of in the zone. They're busy doing something. So there's nothing wrong with being like, hey, I'm here. You know, you deserve to be safe as much as anybody else. So ask them to stop, or just assume that they're not going to stop, even if they say that they will, and wear lead, and practice, you know, not turning away from the source and doing your weird crab walk that you have to do all the time. I just do that all the time, like even when the machine's not active, because you never know what's going to happen. Okay. Yeah, and set up the room to minimize your movement, because a lot of times we're on either side of the patient going around and around, and there's people in the way, and there's monitors and wires. And it's good to set the room up so that you have what you need within reach. So I've got my suction, I've got my yonker here, it's attached to suction already. I have my oxygen hooked up and fed through the gantry so that I have it and I can just put it on the patient if I need. So not only does this help you be more prepared to respond in an emergency situation, but it also minimizes the amount of running around that you do in the case that you need that stuff. So say somebody codes and you're already a little nervous, you don't have anything set up. They haven't, well, hopefully they would stop the procedure if they're coding, but I've had to bag somebody while they were doing a procedure and they didn't stop. So sometimes Yeah, it was Dr. Sofko. He's awesome, but it's a different, he's a vascular doctor, so they're a little bit less, they take care of a lot of sick people. So anyways, you don't want to fall. You don't want to trip over anything. You don't want to, the worst feeling is having an emergency and not being prepared and not having what you need, because it makes it 10 times worse. Because you're going to be excited and you're going to be looking for stuff and you're going to be like, I don't know where the oxygen is. So it's better just to set it up every single time, and that way that you can respond quickly without falling or delaying patient care. Okay, dosimeter badges, we know that we need to wear them outside of the lead vests all the time, so not behind the lead, because what we're doing is we're actually monitoring the exposure that you would be getting if you weren't wearing the lead, which makes it even more safe, because if you get like notified that you've been exposed to too much, which you get notifications way before you've reached any kind of limits, then you can kind of rest assured that even though you've gotten more than we want you to, you still haven't gotten like that much, because this stays outside of the lead, which I think is an important thing to remember if you're ever feeling nervous about your exposure. And of course, other PPE as indicated, like contact gowns or whatever you need to be wearing, or a mask, goggles if it's a splashy situation. So I'm not going to read all of this, but we don't know that much about what exposure to ionizing radiation does to people and how much it takes to really have harmful effects, because obviously it's not ethical to design these studies and carry them out. But we do have epidemiological studies of people that have been in like war zones and areas where atomic bombs went off. And we've got the 19th century scientists, we got the Curies and everybody to study. We know that it causes sarcomas, skin cancers, leukemias, GI and hematopoietic problems and cancers. We do have some controlled studies of bacteria and plants. And obviously high doses can cause cancer. We already knew that. This is the important part, dozens of major epidemiological investigations failed to demonstrate adverse health, genetic, and fertility effects in radiation workers at or below the occupational limit. The occupational limit for the United States is 5,000 mRAM a year. And ours is much lower than that. So I think that's something to be proud of. We issue these and we exchange them quarterly, so you probably